Remember that guy who eats pizza with a fork and somehow always has women laughing at his table? Yeah, turns out there's actually a reason for that. While every dating coach is telling you to be mysterious and play hard to get, women are secretly falling for guys who get excited about conspiracy theories and still quote Shrek at random moments. I figured this out when my friend spent 20 minutes gushing about some guy, not because he looked like Ryan Gosling, but because he has strong opinions about the correct way to load a dishwasher. That's when it hit me. We've been doing this whole attraction thing backwards. Here are 7 completely random things you probably do that women find way more attractive than your gym selfies. Number 1. Getting genuinely passionate about random topics. Here's something that might blow your mind. When a guy gets genuinely excited about something completely random, whether it's the history of pizza toppings or why certain fonts are superior to others, women find it incredibly attractive. Not because they care about the topic, but because passion itself is magnetic. Think about it this way. Most guys try so hard to be cool and collected that they come across as completely flat. They're so worried about saying the wrong thing that they end up saying nothing interesting at all. But when you light up talking about why pineapple on pizza is actually a Swedish invention, or why the movie Shrek has deeper philosophical themes than most people realize, you're showing something that's becoming increasingly rare. Genuine enthusiasm. There's actually a psychological principle at work here called emotional contagion. When you're genuinely excited about something, that energy transfers to the person you're talking to. Women aren't necessarily falling for your knowledge about obscure 80s bands. They're falling for the fact that you have the confidence to be passionate about something without apologizing for it. I know a guy who can spend 20 minutes explaining why certain types of clouds predict weather patterns better than meteorologists. Does he work in weather? Nope, he's an accountant. But when he starts talking about cumulus formations, his whole face changes. That authentic excitement is incredibly attractive because it shows depth, curiosity, and the confidence to be yourself even when it's not traditionally masculine. The key here is that it has to be genuine. Women can spot fake enthusiasm from a mile away. If you're pretending to be passionate about something because you think it makes you interesting, it's going to backfire spectacularly. But if you genuinely get excited about the engineering behind roller coasters or the cultural impact of reality TV shows, lean into it. Number 2. Having completely irrational food preferences. This one sounds ridiculous until you understand the psychology behind it. When a guy has very specific, completely irrational food preferences, women find it endearing in a way that's hard to explain. I'm talking about guys who eat pizza with a fork, who refuse to let different foods touch on their plate, or who have elaborate rituals around how they eat certain snacks. One of my friends was telling me about this guy who eats Kit Kats in the most methodical way possible. He bites off the chocolate from all 4 sides first, then separates the wafers and eats them individually. She found it absolutely charming, not because the method makes any sense, but because it showed he has his own little world of preferences that he's completely committed to. Here's what's really happening psychologically. These quirky food habits signal several attractive traits without you even realizing it. First, they show that you're comfortable with your own preferences, even when they're unconventional. Second, they demonstrate a kind of consistency and reliability. If you always eat your burgers with exactly 3 pickles, it suggests you know what you want and you stick to it. But there's something deeper going on too. These little rituals create a sense of intimacy when someone gets to witness them. It's like being let in on a secret part of your personality. When a woman sees you carefully arranging your French fries from longest to shortest, she's getting a glimpse into your private world, and that feels special. The beauty of this is that you probably already have these habits and don't even realize they're attractive. Maybe you always eat the corners of brownies first, or you have a specific way you make your coffee that seems completely normal to you but looks elaborate to everyone else. These aren't flaws you need to hide, they're personality quirks that make you memorable. Number 3. Getting irrationally competitive about stupid things. Here's where it gets interesting. When guys get genuinely competitive about completely meaningless activities, women find it incredibly attractive. I'm not talking about being a sore loser or getting angry. I'm talking about that focused intensity you bring to mini golf, board games, or trying to parallel park in the smallest possible space. There's something primal that happens when a woman watches a guy get completely absorbed in trying to win at something ridiculous. Maybe it's a game of rock, paper, scissors. Maybe it's seeing who can guess the price of random items at the grocery store. But that competitive focus triggers something in female psychology that's hard to ignore. I watched this play out perfectly at a friend's game night. One guy was playing Jenga with this laser focus intensity, calculating each move like he was defusing a bomb. The women at the table were completely captivated, not by the game itself, but by watching him channel all that mental energy into something so trivial. It was like seeing someone's personality in high definition. The key is that this competitiveness has to be playful, not aggressive. There's a huge difference between getting genuinely invested in winning at air hockey and being a jerk about it. When you're playfully competitive, it shows several attractive traits. It demonstrates focus, it shows you care about doing things well even when they don't matter, and it reveals that you can get completely absorbed in the moment. This behavior also creates natural opportunities for playful interaction. When you're both trying to win at some ridiculous game, there's automatic banter, teasing, and shared experience. It's like instant chemistry because you're both invested in the same silly outcome. Number 4. Having oddly specific skills that serve no practical purpose. This is where things get really interesting. When a guy has mastered some completely impractical skill, women find it fascinating in a way that makes no logical sense. I'm talking about being able to juggle, knowing how to solve a Rubik's Cube, being able to whistle really loudly, or having memorized all the lyrics to Hamilton. One guy I know can make incredibly realistic animal sounds. Is this useful in any way? Absolutely not. But at parties, when he starts doing his perfect dolphin impression or his spot-on crow call, women are genuinely impressed. Not because they're thinking about the practical applications of animal sounds, but because it shows he's spent time developing something purely for the joy of it. There's something deeply attractive about someone who has pursued mastery in something completely unnecessary. It suggests a playful relationship with time and learning. It shows that you're not just focused on practical, career-oriented skills, but that you have a rich inner life where you explore things just because they interest you. These skills also create memorable moments. When you can casually solve someone's Rubik's Cube while having a conversation, or when you can perfectly imitate the sound of a creaky door, you're creating an experience that person will remember and probably tell their friends about. You become the guy who can do that amazing thing, whatever that thing happens to be. The psychological principle here is that these skills demonstrate what psychologists call intrinsic motivation. You learn to juggle or memorize pi to 50 digits not because someone was paying you or because it would advance your career, but because you wanted to. That kind of self-directed learning and growth is incredibly attractive because it suggests depth and curiosity. Number 5. Getting weirdly sentimental about random objects. Here's something that might surprise you. When guys get genuinely attached to completely random objects, women find it incredibly endearing. I'm talking about still having your favorite coffee mug from college, refusing to throw away a t-shirt that's basically falling apart, or having some random trinket that you've carried in your wallet for years. This goes against everything you've been told about being detached and not caring about material things. But here's the thing, when you have genuine sentiment attached to random objects, it shows emotional depth in a way that's completely non-threatening. You're not being emotional about relationship drama or deep personal issues. You're just attached to your lucky pen or your childhood stuffed animal that somehow still sits on your bookshelf. I know a guy who has this completely beat-up baseball cap that he's had since high school. It's faded. The bill is bent in a very specific way, and it has stains that probably tell the story of the last decade of his life. When women notice it, and he explains why he still wears it, they're not thinking about how he needs to update his wardrobe. They're thinking about how sweet it is that he forms these lasting attachments. This behavior signals several things that women find attractive. It shows loyalty It demonstrates that you form deep connections, and it suggests that you value things beyond their surface utility. When you're sentimental about a random coffee shop napkin because it's from the first date you ever went on, it shows that you pay attention to meaningful moments and that you're capable of deep, emotional connection. The key is that these attachments have to be genuine. If you're keeping random objects around because you think it makes you seem sensitive, women will see right through that. But if you genuinely can't throw away that concert ticket from 10 years ago because it reminds you of one of the best nights of your life, that authenticity is magnetic. Number 6. Having completely irrational fears or superstitions. This might be the most counterintuitive one on the list. When guys have completely irrational fears or harmless superstitions, women often find it incredibly humanizing and attractive. I'm talking about being genuinely afraid of butterflies, always knocking on wood, or having to check that your car doors are locked exactly 3 times. You might think these things make you seem weak or irrational, but here's what's actually happening. In a world where men are expected to be fearless and completely logical, having these little human quirks makes you relatable and real. It shows that despite being strong and capable in the ways that matter, you're still human enough to be afraid of ceiling fans or to believe that wearing your lucky socks actually affects the outcome of your team's games. There's something deeply comforting about someone who has these harmless vulnerabilities. It creates space for intimacy because you're sharing something that's a little embarrassing or irrational. When you admit that you can't sleep unless you check your alarm clock at least twice, or that you genuinely believe certain numbers are unlucky, you're showing trust by sharing something vulnerable. These quirks also often lead to sweet, protective moments. If you're afraid of spiders and there's a spider in the room, suddenly there's this opportunity for natural, playful role reversal. It's not threatening to anyone's masculinity. It's just human and real and often pretty funny. The psychology here is that these irrational fears or superstitions make you 3-dimensional. Instead of being this perfect, fearless guy who never shows weakness, you become someone with depth and humanity. You're strong where it matters, but human enough to have completely irrational concerns about stepping on cracks or touching doorknobs without washing your hands immediately afterward. Number 7. Getting completely absorbed in mundane tasks. Here's the last one, and it might be the most powerful. When guys get completely absorbed in mundane tasks with genuine focus and care, women find it incredibly attractive. I'm talking about the way you might spend 20 minutes perfectly organizing your bookshelf, or how you get completely focused when you're cooking and measuring every ingredient precisely, or the concentration you bring to parallel parking even when there's plenty of space. This behavior is attractive because it shows several key traits that women find irresistible. First, it demonstrates that you bring care and attention to everything you do, not just the big important things. Second, it shows that you can be completely present in the moment, which is becoming increasingly rare in our distracted world. Third, it suggests that you take pride in doing things well, even when no one is watching. I've seen this play out in so many different ways. One guy I know gets completely absorbed in loading the dishwasher, like he's solving a complex puzzle to fit everything in the most efficient way possible. Another friend has this ritual when he's making coffee where he times everything precisely and pays attention to every step of the process. These aren't guys trying to show off. They're just naturally bringing focus and care to everyday tasks. There's something deeply attractive about watching someone be fully present with what they're doing. In a world where everyone is constantly multitasking and half paying attention to everything, when you give your complete focus to something as simple as folding laundry or organizing your tools, it signals a level of mindfulness and intentionality that's rare and appealing. This behavior also creates opportunities for comfortable silence and parallel activity. There's something intimate about being around someone who's completely absorbed in what they're doing. It doesn't require conversation or entertainment. It's just pleasant to witness someone being fully engaged with their task. Here's what ties all of these together, and this might be the most important insight of this entire video. All of these quirky behaviors have one thing in common: they show authenticity. They're all examples of you being genuinely yourself without apologizing for it or trying to manage how others perceive you. In a dating world where everyone is trying to optimize themselves into some perfect version of attractiveness, being genuinely weird and authentic is actually your biggest advantage. These behaviors are attractive not because they're strategic or because you're trying to trigger some psychological response, but because they're real. Women can sense authenticity from a mile away, just like they can sense when someone is being fake or performing. When you're genuinely passionate about cloud formations, when you really do eat your sandwiches in a specific order, when you're actually competitive about stupid games, you're showing up as yourself. And that's what creates real attraction and real connection. The beautiful thing about all of this is that you don't need to develop new quirks or try to be more interesting. You already have these authentic behaviors. You've probably just been taught to hide them or be embarrassed about them. The key is to lean into your natural weirdness instead of apologizing for it. So next time you catch yourself getting excited about something random, or following one of your irrational food rituals, or getting completely absorbed in some mundane task, remember that these aren't flaws you need to fix. They're features that make you memorable, interesting, and genuinely attractive to the right person. The dating advice industry has convinced us that attraction is about following formulas and strategies, but real attraction happens when two authentic people connect over their genuine selves, quirks and all. Your weirdness isn't something to overcome, it's something to embrace. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more such videos. Thanks for watching.